the only one that's not running for anything. Yeah.
Oh.
But
yeah. We'll take
as most
it.
of you know, or at least those of you with good taste in movies and television know, I'm not really a politician. I'm a professional actor. And so you might be wondering why I'm here tonight. I know my wife, Leslie, is. I brought Leslie along with me just to show her that sometimes people actually are willing to listen to me. But the reason I'm here tonight is, as we've learned over the last few years, actors like Robert De Niro and George Clooney and Whoopi Goldberg and the professional actors like us know more about politics than anybody on earth. And so that's why we spend so much of our time trying to help you little people that aren't on television. Just try to figure out how to vote. So that's what I'm here for. To paraphrase the great Ronald Reagan, or Ronaldus Magnus, as my friend Rush Limbaugh used to call him, these are the 8 most terrifying words in the English language. I'm from Hollywood, and I'm here to help. But I'm really happy to be here. My wife Leslie and I moved to Cloverport just a little bit over a year ago, after 32 years in Burbank, California, which was an ordeal. But Leslie and I have been married for 39 years. I think she's about had enough, but I always have to tell people and pull them aside and go, no, really, she is my first wife. I know she looks like my trophy wife, but I won the trophy on the first try. She's my first wife.
Yeah.
But Leslie's from Owensboro, and so we've been visiting here for years and years, and her best friend had this beautiful place over in Cloverport, and for 25 years when we visit, I tell him, if you ever want to sell this place, talk to us first. And so he finally did, right around the time that I convinced Leslie finally that we had to get the hell out of California. And we love it here. I mean, the beauty of the countryside and the peace and quiet and the turkeys and the deer and the foxes and running through the yard. I mean, it's just a beautiful place to live, and I can see why you all love it so much. But really, the biggest change, and Leslie and I talk about this all the time, the biggest change between living in California and living in a place like Breckenridge County is that the people here are generally pretty happy. You know, in California, they're really upset. They're overtaxed, and the traffic's terrible, and it's dirty, and you know everything's burning down, and there's homeless people, and it's nice to be here, surrounded by people that would never vote for Gavin Newsom. But what's this Andy Bashir stuff about? I mean, it's just about as bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, talk about the little house that we built, since this is the Lincoln Reagan dinner. There's structures on our property that were built in the early 1800s, and what is now our garage used to be the carriage house for the railroad and the ferry. And the legend is that in 1817 or so, Abraham Lincoln's family went broke in Kentucky, and they moved to Indiana. And I've been told that the 10-year-old Abraham Lincoln sat on the stoop in my garage and had buttermilk and cornbread.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to run with that story forever. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a great story. So we put up a bunch of Lincoln wallpaper in our house, and don't be surprised if in a few years I'm dressing up like Abraham Lincoln and charging admission. But yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had here. This weekend is the Sacagawea Festival over in Cloverport.
Yeah.
At first I thought they said it was the Taxagawea Festival. I was like, what's Elizabeth Warren going to be doing here? The jokes are going to keep coming, folks. I'm the clown. Not running running for anything. But I want to thank you for the honor of speaking here tonight. My good friend Josh Calloway is one of the most effective representatives this state can have, and he's a really, really wonderful person and an absolutely fantastic piano player. I don't know if you.
Yes.
I mean, he came over to my house and I let him play my piano once, and that was it. I said, that's it. Ruined my confidence. But I was going to say I was proud to be speaking to our Senate candidates tonight, but Mike's the only one left. And I usually adopt the Rush Limbaugh policy of not endorsing anybody in the primaries, but since they all left, Mike, I'm with you. I mean, I'm serious. Mike is exactly the kind of citizen legislature that we should be sending in this country to national office.
Yes.
I mean, that's not necessarily endorsement in case anybody talks to those other guys, because they might win. But I first got my big break. Everybody knows me from Justified, I guess, but my first big break was a long time ago in a movie called Fried Green Tomatoes, which I'm sure some of you have seen. Yeah. I had a lot of hair back then. But I played the bad guy in that movie. Did I throw my... Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
I played the bad guy in that movie. I was the wife-beating racist Klansman husband of Ruth, and that kind of got my career going. That sort of, I started getting offers from Hollywood to play more wife-beating racist Klansmen. And so I did them all. I mean, I had a family to feed and all that, so I played all these wife beaters and serial killers and sexual harassers, and I mean, let's face it, I played a lot of Democrats. I'm not proud of it, but it started to bother me. I played so many of these wife beaters, I kind of went to Leslie and I was talking to her about it, and it really bothered me. I said, why do you think I keep getting all these parts where I beat up women? And Leslie said, well, you don't look like you could beat up a man. 39 years of that. But, I mean, I was hoping the other senators the other candidates for senator would have stayed, because, I get asked a lot, since I'm here in Kentucky now, if I'm going to run for something. And I'm maybe mayor of Cloverport, or maybe U.S. Senate. I hear there's big money in that. But I've been thinking about it, and I think I might want to run for Senate in Kentucky for a number of reasons. I mean, number one, I've got very high name recognition because of Justified, so that takes care of a lot of that. And number two, I mean, I'm pretty conservative. I think I would probably do well in the general election, especially if they ran Ashley Judd again. And number three, I mean, and this is really the biggest reason, judging by how well some of our senators have done financially, I could make millions. Millions of dollars. So, it'll be the most honest campaign in history. I vote for Nick Searcy, I'm going to be rich! Well, maybe Mayor Cloverport first, I'll start there. I hear that's about $1,000 a month or something. That's nothing to sneeze at. Anyway, I have to say that I had a very, very different speech planned for tonight, before what happened this week, and my heart just wasn't in it anymore, so I changed it up quite a bit. I was going to talk extensively tonight about the injustices that were done to the January 6 people. And I'm still going to talk about that some, but the murder of Charlie Kirk feels like a culmination in many ways of all the points that I was going to make about January 6th. Because I realized this week that it's all the same thing. It's all of a piece. It all has the same root cause. And I think Charlie's murder has changed this world in ways that we can't yet foresee. I know Charlie a little, knew him a little. I interviewed him back in 2019 for my first documentary when he was 25 years old. I didn't even really know who he was. He just started Turning Point. But he was kind, and he was brilliant, and he was scripturally impressive, and we were all just really charmed by him. And my son Omar, who was 18 at that time, he was working on the film crew with us. And he followed Charlie from then on. He was a big fan of Charlie's. And I met Charlie a couple more times, did his radio show once, but mostly I knew Charlie the same way everyone else knew him. I knew him from his content. I knew him from the things that he put out. And I watched a lot of his campus conversation videos, and a lot of those I watched because my son Omar sent them to me. Omar's 25 years old now, and he describes himself as a black Christian conservative. Omar's adopted, but he loved Charlie. Because Omar, being who he is, he had, he could feel a little bit outnumbered. He could feel a little bit isolated from the people around him because of the way his belief system is. And Charlie's videos gave Omar courage. They made him laugh, and they helped Omar look at these people who argued with Charlie with humor, and they let him know. Charlie let him know through these videos that he was not alone, even if he was surrounded by libtards. That's the word he uses. But Charlie meant so much to my son, and I'm sure to so many young people just like him. And the question is, why? Why did it mean so much to these people? Why was he so effective? And I believe it's because Charlie did what Christ did. He went in and sat with the Pharisees. He deliberately walked into the places that he knew, where he knew he would be hated, where the corrupt, the universities, because he knew that's where the need was greatest. And when he got there, what did he do? Did he go in with armed security? No. Did he go in with anger? Did he go in with vitriol and sarcasm and some really hilarious insults like I do on Twitter? No, he didn't do any of that. He went in armed only with the truth of the scriptures and the love of Jesus Christ for all people.
Amen.
And he talked to them. That's all he did. He engaged them in dialogue. He let them challenge him. He let them ask him anything. And he listened to them. He gave them his perspective. And he did it all with a kind spirit and with humor and with love. Because as it's been said here tonight by multiple people, Charlie was not just a conservative. Not just a political figure. He was an ambassador for Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
Maybe the greatest ambassador that I've seen in my lifetime. Charlie lived fully what Martin Luther King talked about during the civil rights struggle when he said, "We must meet hate with love." And I believe that's the reason both of them were murdered. Because the weapon that they both used, the gospel of Jesus Christ, that is more lethal to the left's sick ideology than any gun, any sword, any bomb, any weapon you can think of. Because their ideology cannot stand up to the light of truth. And because Charlie was so effective, because the left could not counter his arguments, and the truth he brought, they had to vilify him. They had to hate him and lie about him and call him a racist and a bigot and talk about hate speech and call him a white supremacist and all the usual names that the left uses instead of an argument. And that in itself is biblical. John 15:18, if the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. They demonized Charlie to silence him. And when that didn't silence him, he was murdered. I was there on January 6th. I was there myself. I saw what it was. And then I saw the lies that the news media was telling us about that day. And that led me to make 2 documentaries with my partner Chris Burgard about the people of January 6th. And they vilified those people. They demonized those people the same way they demonized Charlie. My documentaries go into the setup and the way the police were actually the aggressors that day, the way they fired munitions into a peaceful crowd, the lies of the January 6th committee run by Liz Cheney, the corrupt judges, the prosecutors, and the partisan juries, the way that they didn't have a chance against a DC jury, the withholding of exculpatory evidence by the corrupt prosecutors and these partisan judges, the overcharging, the way these Americans were piled up with charges on top of, most of them charged with misdemeanor trespassing, but then they'd add 5 more and put a felony on top of it, and they go, oh, you're facing 20 years. And they bleed these people dry, they bleed their resources, they take all their money, and then they say, well, if you'll just take this one little charge here, you'll only do 6 months. And so some of them take the plea deal, do the jail time, and then the government runs around and says, see, we got another one, he admitted it. He admitted it. But I don't have time to get into all of that stuff tonight. I want to talk about is who these people were. Because in the course of making these documentaries, I interviewed between 70 and 85 of these people. And I got to tell you, without exception, almost without exception, these were all people of faith, people who loved this country. It was your church deacons and your youth leaders and ministers and people like that. And also the second largest subset was veterans. People who served this country and loved it. The kind of people that carry around pocket constitutions to pass out to children. In fact, one of the people we interviewed, a man named Derek Kennison, when they raided his house at 6 in the morning to intentionally to embarrass him in front of his neighbors. This is the other thing they did. They would intentionally embarrass these people and ruin their reputations in the neighborhood. So their businesses were destroyed. Their neighbors were afraid of them, because what happens when the FBI storms somebody's house in your neighborhood? You think, that guy must have done something awful. So they made these people pariahs in their own neighborhood, and when they raided Derek Kennison's house, one of the things they took pictures of as some sort of evidence was his box of pocket constitutions. Like, this is obviously a radical. He's carrying around this dangerous document, this pocket constitution.
It's terrible.
But all they were people just like me, God-fearing, America-loving patriots who thought that election was stolen.
Amen.
And it was.
Yes, it was.
It was.
It was.
And it's going to come out. The truth is going to come out. You know, Trump's always making jokes about running for a 3rd term. This is his 3rd term. He won 3 times. But you have to ask yourself, why did they lie about January 6th so hard? What was the point of that? And why do they continue to lie about it? And why did they vilify the people? Well, it's for the same reason they demonized Trump, they demonized Charlie. The 1,600 January 6th defendants whose lives they ruined, because they cannot win the argument. So they have to silence these people. They have to neutralize them. That's the only way the left ever wins. Charlie Kirk said it. When people stop talking, that's when violence happens. They stopped Charlie from talking for now, but I have a very, very strong feeling that this murder of Charlie Kirk is not going to work out for the left the way they think. Because they created a martyr.
That's right.
And when you create a martyr, you make his ideas stronger. And they have galvanized people like us. People who loved and respected Charlie Kirk. And it's motivated us not to violence because we're not them. And make no mistake, that's what they want.
Yes, they do.
The quickest way to destroy this country is through a civil war, and that's what they want. But we're not like them. We're going to follow in Charlie's footsteps. Because we're all Charlie now. And I think I know what Charlie would be saying if he could speak. He would say what his Lord and Savior said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." I think an awakening is going to come out of this situation like this country has not seen. And I take solace in the fact that Charlie is going to have a legacy that's going to grow in his absence. And he'll never be forgotten. There's a parody website called the Babylon Bee. Anybody familiar with that? And it had a great headline. And the headline was, I think I have it right, "God deems world unworthy of Charlie Kirk and calls him home."
Yes, sir.
And it was funny, but at the same time. There's one more point I'd like to make. There's an old thought experiment that originated back in the 40s, right around the end of World War II. Became a very famous question in like ethics classes and science fiction novels and things like that. I'm sure you've heard it before. If you had the chance to go back in time and kill baby Hitler to avoid the Holocaust and prevent World War II, would you do it? Right? I don't have any polling data on that, but I'm pretty sure that there's a significant number of people that would say yes, it would be worth it to do that. To prevent all that pain and suffering. That's why the left and the Democrat Party, and sadly some Republicans, they're not calling Trump Hitler for no reason. They're not calling his supporters deplorables and racists and white supremacists and bigots and domestic terrorists for no reason. They're not just mean. That's a strategy. Because if Trump is Hitler and all his supporters are Nazis, why wouldn't some sick person who's been warped by public schools and the twisted things he sees on television, and you see them all over social media now, they're all openly celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk. They're professors, CNN, all the propaganda networks. Why wouldn't they be inspired? Especially if they have no higher power. Why wouldn't they think, I'm going to be a hero? I'm going to stop Hitler. I'm going to kill Trump. Or I'm going to kill Charlie Kirk. That's exactly why the left does this. Always. Throughout history. Not just in this country, in every other country. They dehumanize their opposition so that it is acceptable and even heroic to murder them. President Otto Penn, our last president, in a national speech to the nation, he said, "Donald Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans are a clear and present danger to our democracy." What do you do with a threat to democracy? You've got to eliminate it. It's your duty as a man to eliminate a threat to democracy. Isn't that the implication? They've got to be eliminated for the common good. Kamala Harris, which is the greatest bullet America has ever dodged,
That is
called January 6th the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. I mean, don't you want to save democracy? You've got to take these people out. Connecticut, there's a senator from Connecticut, Chris Murphy, 2 days before Kirk's assassination. He said, we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary to save the country. These people know exactly what they're calling for. They know what they're doing. And then they come around and say, oh, political violence, we never support that. No, they're just lying. That is exactly what they support. And there's one senator, even though not one person in the January 6th thing was ever charged with insurrection, there's one senator that said the events of January 6th were a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. Now that was not Chuck Schumer, and that was not Dick Durbin, and it wasn't even Taxa-Jawea. The senator that said that was Mitch McConnell.
Shame.
The day after Charlie Kirk was literally murdered because of the continual demonization of him as a racist white supremacist, some Republicans joined the Democrats in saying that both sides need to tone it down. And it pains me to say it, but one of those Republicans was Thomas Massey. This isn't about both sides, and this is not about R versus D, and this is really not about left versus right. This is about good versus evil. This is a spiritual battle. This is spiritual warfare. Both sides are not deliberately demonizing people to try to get them killed. And anyone who claims that they are is on the wrong side.
That's right.
My friends, I don't mean to break Reagan's 11th commandment,
That's okay.
but we can no longer afford
That's right.
to send people to national office that do not understand the nature of the struggle that we're in.
Amen.
We can't have people there that will not stand up for the citizens of this country when they're wrongly attacked for political reasons by our government.
That's right.
When their constitutional right to a fair and speedy trial by a jury of their peers is denied. When they're demonized as domestic terrorists and denied bail by partisan judges because they were too dangerous to release, while these same judges will release violent criminals with 14 prior arrests so that they can murder people on a subway. Well, I hope you enjoyed your dessert. And I have every confidence that we're going to begin electing people that will stand up for the people of this country, people like Mike. And if they don't, after my term as mayor of Cloverport, I might just get in the game. Thank you very much for having me.